From 1973 and for the next 20 years, one man made more movies about motorcycle racing than anyone else. His movies documented some of the greatest moments in motorcycle sport and starred the icons of that era: Kenny Roberts, Mike Hailwood, Roger DeCoster, Freddie Spencer, Wayne Rainey, Gary Scott, Jay Springsteen, Barry Sheen, and David Bailey, just to name a few. But as he himself has said many times, it is his passion for the sport that drove him to make these films, often against all odds. Peter Starr grew up in Coventry, England, where he rode his first motorcycle at age 16. He worked for Triumph at the Meriden factory from 1960 to the end of 1964, where he was immersed in all aspects of Triumph. He raced an Ariel Aero, then a Norton, and finally a Triumph T100 SS, which took him to events all over Europe in the International Endurance Cup Series. But it was a friendship with Bud Ekins that brought him to the USA in 1965. Starr realized very quickly that he could make more money as a rock and roll radio DJ than racing motorcycles, and that led to a successful period of 6 years as a radio DJ and television host, followed by 2 years as a record producer in Hollywood. But a chance meeting with Marv Foster, the advertising manager at Hodaka, changed everything, and a film career was born with the making of his first film, Bad Rock, about the ISDT 2-day qualifier trial in Oregon's Blue Mountains. In 1976, after making 5 television films on motorcycle racing, he followed Steve Baker to England for the Race of the Year, and the first elements of what was to become his most acclaimed film, Take It to the Limit, were born. In addition to the Baker and Sheen sequence, among some of the most memorable segments of that film were Robert's victory at Indy in 1975 on the TZ 700 dirt tracker, Russ Collins on the Magic Quarter Mile, and the never-to-be-forgotten sequence with Mike the Bike Hailwood making his first return to the Isle of Man in 10 years.
Running down slightly, hit the apex with a big bump at the bottom of the hill.
Take It to the Limit took 4 years to shoot and edit, and it was premiered in Daytona in March 1980 after winning the top awards at the Chicago and Houston International Film Festivals. The quest to make more films continued and took Starr to Laguna Seca to make Superbikers, a breed apart, where he became the first person to place a film camera on a racing motorcycle during an AMA national event. The bike was ridden by David Emdy. That race is where Peter first saw Freddie Spencer, and the next 2 years saw him document Spencer's amazing career in the AMA Superbike races and the Daytona 200. The latter saw one of the greatest races at Daytona between Spencer and Mike Baldwin's V4 1000cc Hondas and Kenny Roberts' 580cc Grand Prix bike. And a memorable scrap between Spencer and arch-rival Eddie Lawson at Seattle International Speedway.
Race. I lost by a half a wheel.
In 1982, he also produced a film about Darrell Schultz, the 500cc motocross champion, who won his championship in spite of mid-season knee surgery. And while recovering from that, he suffered a collapsed lung. In 1983, David Bailey became the only rider to win the Supercross, Outdoor Motocross, and the Wrangler Super Series in the same year. Starr and his film cameras were there to film that too. In 1983, ever looking for more television outlets for motorcycle sport, he created the Peter Starr Motorcycle Show, the first regular 13-week series on motorcycle sport on a national network, TNN. Starr brought the Transatlantic Match Race series to U.S. television in 1984, and that, along with his coverage of the race at Laguna Seca the same year, recorded Kenny Roberts' last 2 international victories.
And Roberts takes the inside line in turn 3 to take the lead. And Roberts goes around in the victory lap. He waves to the crowd, taking the accolades of the 80,000 people. The front wheel up in the air again as he goes to the corkscrew. They love him here at Laguna Seca.
Ever since he saw his first mile dirt track race in 1967, Starr has had a soft spot for mile racing. This passion led him to introduce his client, the Stroh Brewery, to the sport, and the Stroh Mile series was born. It brought 7 hours of some of the greatest mile racing to the Nashville Network and USA Network. It also led to some innovations such as the first live broadcast from a dirt bike during a race at DuQuoin, Illinois. Starr took that camera system and added it to Ted Booty's bike at the 1985 San Jose Mile. When Kenny Roberts Jr. won his world championship in 2000, it was Starr who celebrated it by producing the award-winning Like Father, Like Son, about the only father and son duo to have won world championships in any motorsport.
Kenny Roberts is a father who has carved a very large niche in his chosen sport. And whilst many sons are forever intimidated by the gigantic achievements and stature of their father, Kenny Jr., by his own choice and at his own speed, set out not to step into his father's footsteps, but to head in the same direction while creating his own.
In addition to filmmaking, Starr has written and continues to write about riding around the world. 40 films, and a passion for motorcycle riding and racing that has lasted for 50 years and still counting.